Hello, everybody.
We are two as one.
I was waiting for you. I'm Andres.
And I'm Karin. We always have fun with our intros. Like, who's going to start today? Well, we are a married couple. And we are here. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, and we are here. Really, your intention is to help people get to experience marital bliss. Really, ultimately, right? No matter what your situation is,
True love is there waiting for you.
it
You,
is.
you just need to open yourself, open your possibilities, and let the love come to. This is a beautiful quote from Rumi.
Mm,
What you are looking for is looking for you as well.
yeah,
That's beautiful.
it is. I love Rumi. He has
Yeah.
so much wisdom out there. And you might have to kiss some frogs to get to your prince or princess. But you know what? It's out there, and I would totally highly recommend it because when you find that person,
Yeah.
it's truly beautiful. But today we are talking about: is it possible to be friends after a divorce?
This is a continuation, part of um, what's the divorce saga? What? How?
Yeah, well, we had some episodes on cheating. Can you recover after cheating, infidelity? And I guess now we end it here on divorce. Can you stay friends after divorce?
Mm,
Also, if there are any topics that you have that you're curious about that you want us to talk about, uh, just go ahead and put those in the comments. Read all comments and love to have your contribution. But today, again, is it possible to be friends after a divorce? What do you think?
it doesn't work for me.
Not
Not yet, not yet.
yet.
We are in the process, but still,
Uh, in the process of what?
we'll be friends, I guess. At
Yes,
some point. Yeah, we have kids,
yes,
and for the kids' benefit,
yes.
it could
It
be good for us to become friends.
could be very good, yeah, but
Yeah,
it does require both people to participate.
that's correct. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. When one person is not willing, then yeah, doesn't go anywhere. And the thing is that while it might hurt your feelings that she seems to hate your guts, who is really hurting is the kid, right? But who has to be in the middle of all of that. So all of you guys who have grown up with parents who divorced have had different experiences. Unfortunately, while there was a statistic that I looked up, and it said that 9 out of 10 people think that it's worth it if a former couple remains friends, especially if they have children. So that's the majority. However, only about 20% are able to maintain a friendship, while 44% are at least on speaking terms, which the speaking terms um, that might not be quite enough if you have children. And there's so many circumstances that go into why you split up, why you're not no longer together. Um, but those of you who are children of divorced parents, remember what it was like for you. Um, and I know my son, who's almost 20 now, when he has talked about some of his friends whose parents were divorced and were awful to each other, and he was always so grateful for the fact that his dad and I we were able to remain. We're not close friends or anything like that, but we were always civil. We, would do holidays together. We would go to baseball tournaments together. We would do a lot of things together for our son because he's the important one in this equation. So,
I think that's the key word. Be civil.
mm,
Respect each other.
yeah, yeah,
That's it.
that's it.
Just,
And we talked before about how love and respect, and even if there's not love, hey, you don't have to like me, love me, or anything like that. And vice versa. But I will always show you respect no matter what. And because that's just a decent way to go through life.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that's gonna help you. I mean, this is something that I always talk with my siblings. My father left when my mom was pregnant, so I'm the fifth of the youngest of my siblings, and they for several years they hate my dad because he left home and whatever. So, and I was telling them, the feelings that you had against them, it doesn't affect whatever is happening in his life. And you are the ones who's having the deal with that, live with that hate every single day in your life. So thank God that the things are changing now. They are are talking each other. Yeah, I can see pictures, having a good time. That's really good. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Healing is taking
healing.
place. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
But it did take your father to reach out, and it seems like that's what happened, right?
I guess.
And in many ways, that's where we talk about what number you are in the siblings there, because you didn't even know your dad.
Not
Your
really.
mom was pregnant when she left, so it's like you didn't know any better, so you were spared that pain. Whereas um, and I know from my parents did not get a divorce, but my father died. But I was daddy's little girl, so I understand the pain of your dad being there, having a relationship, and then he was gone. Except that I couldn't be mad at him because it was not his fault. um,
Right.
Whereas your dad, he made a choice.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
different.
yeah, it is different. So I get it, but you're right. You're right. They're just poisoning themselves. And that's where sometimes, scheduling some therapy and having somebody that you can process through it, because many times otherwise people, they're going to uh, alcohol and sometimes drugs, or medication prescribed by a doctor, which can be something that could help you through, but it's not really getting to help you to heal. It can be part of the process, but I'm never a fan of lifelong taking medication unless it's really something that's keeping you alive, when there are other ways to do actual healing.
Remember in the previous episode we talked about to clean the house, take
Mm,
out the garbage.
yeah.
So this is part of that as well. It's just not about relationships. Every situation in life, if you don't deal in the right way, I believe, you start to get a
Mm.
big bag of garbage
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in your guts.
And it shows up. It could show up in your gut, or it can show up in shoulder and neck pain. It can show up as headaches. It can show up in moods, being grumpy and irritable and nasty and depressed and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Not a good way to go through life. I wouldn't recommend it.
No, not funny.
No, no. So, what are some things that get in between people? And it could be job stress. It could be the stress of raising children, because that is a stressful time. Uh, the hardest time in a relationship is when the children, they're from born till, could be until they leave the house. But definitely the first many years are very demanding, because you have little human beings who depend on you for everything, except for breathing. But everything else is on you, and that can be a lot. The financial pressures of it, and all of that. So that's a very difficult time, um, for any couple. Um, like with when you were a police officer in Ecuador, you were sent from place to place. So you were far away for weeks at a time, and just home for a little weekend visit, right?
Yeah.
And
And yeah, we lived in that kind of a lifestyle for several years, and was not easy for us as a couple. We never got the connection,
yeah,
and
But she did have the choice to go with you and stay and could have lived like a queen, right?
Yeah, but she didn't like it.
Yeah, yeah. So we make all kinds of choices.
True.
Yeah,
At the end, it's about the choices that we made in life and everything, right?
yeah.
Careers, uh, personal decisions.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. There's some interesting movies that are about that, exactly that. And we actually have an episode about the one decision that you make, not the one, but the big decisions that you make in your life. But every little decision that there's one movie that's called The Sliding Door, and or Sliding Doors, I can't remember, with Gwyneth Paltrow. And there's some other ones that have the same theme, but where you see two different things that happen. One where she's getting on the train to go to work. She catches the train and goes to work, and what's happening in the background that she didn't realize until much later. Another one where she misses the train and then goes back home and then figures out what was going on that she otherwise wouldn't have found out until much later. She found out, walked in on her boyfriend, husband, whatever he was, having an affair in bed with somebody, and and how different her life turns out. And it's so interesting because if you really think about it, our life is based on little decisions, sometimes big decisions, every moment, all throughout your day. So, um,
Do you believe that every decision that we take in our lives create a um, parallel universe? I mean,
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
a crazy theory, but
Oh,
you know,
well, that depends on how much you follow quantum physics, and
yeah.
I'm a huge fan.
Well, it's science.
Mm?
It's talk about that as a, I believe it's a nine, like a 9 or 10 that they have confirmation that they exist.
That we're living in 9 or 10
Yeah,
timelines at the same time.
timelines at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and if you ever heard of the term of jumping timelines, that they're different. I guess maybe that's more. I wonder. That's a good question. Is that really about where you're conscious, the one that you're more conscious about? Because isn't there something about how it's you might be more conscious about one life line than another? I don't know.
Oh well, I don't know. It may sometimes you may have some dreams about you living another life, another experiences, and that may be a way that you can,
A window into,
a window
yeah,
that you can take a peek
peeking. Uh-huh.
in your other timeline. Yeah,
Hello, Karen.
I'm still being a police officer in several of
Oh,
those timelines.
almost every night in your dreams. That runs deep. Oh my
Right.
gosh! But I think we're getting a little off topic, although it's interesting. So yeah, emotional immaturity, growing apart, realizing, you know what, I while we were good for each other at one point, I don't think we're really meant to be together at this point. And another big one is just not nurturing the relationship because many times we're just not paying attention.
That's important.
So I found this article by a PsyD. It's a doctor of psychology, but not a PhD. Doesn't matter. And Seth Meyers, he wrote an article on Psychology Today, and he had an interesting question. And he was asking, does love ever die? And even he says that he thinks that if you uh, if you don't believe that even a tiny little bit of that relationship that you may miss, that there's a little bit of love in there, that it's impossible to just love someone and then suddenly not love somebody. And I was like, well, that's interesting. And an interesting thought, and I can get that. So, yeah, what do you think?
It's a very tiny line between hate and love. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it could be, um, but at the same time, it depends of your how you gonna approach to the different situations. And at some point, if you are dealing, and I remember that the previous relationship before you, so we had an agreement, right? If this doesn't work, we gonna cut. every single time. We don't gonna talk anymore. We never, and we did it, and so that worked really good for both parts, I guess.
Yeah.
I
Well,
hope.
and I think also that it might have something to do with the length of the time that relationship was. You know, do you, how much did you infiltrate your lives, like with kids and all that kind of stuff? Uh, Don't you think?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Things change when kids are involved.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah.
that's a factor that change everything.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think because the other question, which is not addressed in this article, but I think also, well, what effect does that have, especially if you don't have kids? If there are kids involved, then you're connected forever. That's goes without saying. But if you don't have kids and you stay friends, and then you get in a new relationship, what effect does that have on the new relationship? I think again, it very much depends because there are some people who still have some level of attraction to the other, right? I guess it's part of this. Does love ever die? For some people, it's like, yeah, there's no way that's ever going to happen again. But we can certainly have a civil conversation. But some people continue to have feel an attraction to the other person, whether it's their charisma or physically or whatever. That could be a problem if you end up in a new relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think it's something hell for the relationship.
Hmm. Yeah. It definitely is something that has to be. Again, I think it's something that needs to be negotiated between you and the partner that you enter into with. Hey, if they're okay with it, truly okay, not just, oh yeah, I'm going to say okay because I know that's what you want, and if I say no to you, then you might not want to be with me. Um, that's a different story.
That's something that can change it as you find out how much commitment the other person is in the relationship,
Yeah.
and that's something that you may reconsider at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, by the way, is also an episode we have.
Correct.
8 signs on are you really in a committed relationship? Um,
Are you 50-50 or you are 100
uh-huh.
into the relationship?
Yes. Yes. So then he went on to talk about how, and like you were alluding to, you weren't alluding, you said that there's a thin line between hate and love, and how if you're really trying to say that no, I don't have any feelings anymore, that underneath it might just be repressed emotion that's may look like anger and sadness and depression and that kind of thing. And I think we could definitely see that sometimes, uh, in your ex.
Well, I
A
believe
lot of
the
anger.
people deal with emotions in different ways, and I honestly rather to the mom of my child hate me instead to being depressed,
Yeah.
because I don't know, it's another way to take things. So
Yeah, yeah. mm, yeah, you're so brave. And another big part, well, one thing that we were saying was that couples who do manage to maintain a relationship or friendship on whatever level, my ex-husband's not my best friend, but we are friendly for sure, and like we said last time, sometimes, especially during holidays or whatever, there's something going on with our son that then you come to because you're part of the family. We're going to be together for everything.
am I?
You are. And yeah, and so we have a lovely time, all of us together, which is great.
Yeah.
It's really nice, and it's also good for my son to see this kind of relationship being possible because he really enjoys you,
Yeah.
and respects you a lot, and but it requires a strength of character and an understanding of the bigger picture, which again goes into say, okay, well, I'm an adult, so is he, and we have this beautiful child that we created together, and look at that little face, and let's go ahead and do what we can to turn this little person into the best adult person we can possibly do, and yeah, that's our contribution to the world, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And the last part of this particular article is something that I definitely agree with very much. How a lot of people they chalk up their past relationships to mistakes, like, I wasted all this time with this person, and I really don't believe in that. Even when a relationship doesn't work, relationships are places where we can really learn a lot. We can learn a lot about ourselves, what we like, what we don't like, how we show up in different situations and stressful situations and uh, good situations, how we love, how we like to be loved, how we like to love somebody else. And I think it's really important, which actually I am creating a whole course to help people who are, have been divorced and would like to get into find their love. And even if it's the love for themselves, which is also a big part of it, is this course that I'm creating is learn to love yourself first and heal from the past and get yourself ready for that person because you really do
Mm,
have to show up a certain way to get that person.
that's something that we can talk about it.
Hmm.
How important, in a next episode or so, about the self-love, how important. And I think that's the beginning of the
Mm.
change. If you wanna see changes in your life, this is where you need to start.
Yeah, 100%. That's
If not, it's not gonna happen.
no, no.
And I don't believe in coincidences. So every single person, if maybe your perspective about life gonna change with this, because nothing is a coincidence. Every single person that for some reason came through your life has a purpose, and
Absolutely.
is your job learn what's the experience from that relationship, from that friendship. It's something to learn.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
And I think that's how you can, instead of lamenting over something that didn't happen, I think that's a great way also to flip sadness. I'm not going to say that you're not going to be sad or upset or angry or any of the hurt, any of those things, but you can certainly begin to step out of it by focusing more on, okay, what happened here, not obsessing on what did he do wrong, what did I do wrong, but rather what are the things that kind of zoom out more, and what were the things that I liked, what were the things that I didn't like, how did I show up in this situation, how can I grow, how can I manage these things better, how can I manage my emotions, because that's what I talk about when it comes to dating. Certainly is
Hmm.
that can be a great personal growth journey because you have to manage so much. You have to manage your expectations and your emotions, and when you like somebody and when you get ghosted, and uh, when your feelings are not reciprocated, and when you're not getting the responses you're wanting, and on and on and on. A lot of having to manage yourself. So it's a
Right.
whole growth experience. That's how I approached dating after I got divorced. So, yeah, and I think that made it more bearable. Yeah. And I think that's it. And I'm sorry, I'm sitting here waving because this room gets really hot when we're in here. Got, got this hot body here next to me. And if I turn the fan on, it's too hot, too loud. So here we go. I'm waiting myself. So with that, I hope that this is something that can help you. Again, as we always love to hear your experiences, your thoughts. What were some pointers that really helped you? Questions you have? Share your own experiences. What were some things that helped you? Um, and share this episode with somebody if you feel as though this is something that would help them.
Let us know if you wanna hear a little bit more about the quantum field.
Yeah,
parallel universe. I'm sure there's a lot of movies that talk about it. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I get really excited about that topic. But yeah, any topics that you would like us to discuss and share and talk about, let us know. Outside of that,
Thank you so much. Okay, yeah.
go out and shine your beautiful inner lights. Bye.
Bye.